Good evening. This is a meeting of the Athens Board of Zoning Appeals. The time is 7 p.m. and the date is Tuesday, September 11, 2018. At this time, I will call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates, the alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are members Mr. Ed Baum.
The Athens Board of Zoning Appeals.
Oops, not yet. And Mr. John Gutekunst, Ms. Kay Towsley, and Mr. Aaron Thomas would be a voting member, or at least the first case. And I am John Goldsey, the chair. Also present are the zoning administrator, Mr. Rick Royce, and secretary, Mr. Paul Eschenbacher. At this time, I invite you to view a pre-recorded video on the rules and procedures of the board.
The Athens Board of Zoning Appeals operates according to the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator or secretary will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or their representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding, summary, or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.03b, the board has power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.10c, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board makes specific findings of fact, based directly on the particular evidence presented to it, that the standards and conditions imposed in this title, if applicable, have been met by the applicant. Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. Not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of said property for which variance is sought, one or the other or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situation. Any person, resident, or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens, aggrieved by a decision of the Board, may petition the Athens County Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the Board to the applicant. Thank you.
And there are 2 cases on tonight's agenda. The first case would be the property at 275 East State Street, and the second case will be at 481 Richland Avenue. The board is required to take testimony under oath. Would anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda please stand? Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will present to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Be seated, please. Our first case is case number 1822B, and the property is at 275 East State Street. Zone is R1. Mr. John Rogers is the appellant. The appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 2310 Table A, the schedule of bulk controls, to allow an addition to a structure creating lot coverage of 31%, where 30% is the maximum allowance. Anything to add? None? Okay. Would the appellant come to the podium, please? State your name and address for the records, please.
My name is John Rogers, and I reside at 275 East State Street.
Okay. Did you do the math for finding 30 or 31%, or somebody else did for you?
That was the percentage that they sent back to me in the denial
Oh, okay,
letter.
because it's so close, it's within the margin of error. But, okay. You can state whatever you want to say.
Okay. My partner and I moved here in July of last year and bought the house at 275 East State Street. And then we decided to build a deck with the help of his father in the spring so that we would have the deck ready for summer. And it was after we built the deck, we heard from a neighbor that there were these restrictions on the lot. So I submitted my application after the fact. And once I received the denial letter, reached out to the office to see what course of action I needed to take to make sure that the deck was deemed a legal structure.
Okay, there was no data on the size of the lot. What is the size of the lot? Do you have any?
Let's see.
6250.
6250?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 30% of that. All right, thank you.
Very good.
Any questions for the appellant?
Already measured it. Okay.
Was there a deck there prior?
There was not. It was just a landing with steps straight down into the backyard.
Okay.
I have a question, perhaps to Mr. Sroy's. Are the stairs included in the 1% overage, or are they not included when you measure?
No. The stairs. Stairs are
They're not included. Okay.
But those bricks are included, no? Okay. Any other questions for appellant or the code office? You might be seated. Okay, is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request? Will be heard now. Anyone wishing to speak in general or in opposition may be heard now. Okay, we're going to close the discussion from the floor. If it was up to me, I would just go for the voting. Yeah, just go for the... I think discussing is a minimum variance, first of all.
Do we need a motion?
A motion, yeah.
Shall I make one?
Go ahead.
I move that the board grant a variance to the property at 275 East State Street from ACC 2310 Table A, schedule of bulk controls, to allow an addition to a structure creating lot coverage of 31%, where 30% is the maximum allowance.
Second.
Okay.
You were saying?
Yeah. There is no special circumstances in here. It just, the lot is an average size of any other ones. And of course, the deck is already built, so that's going to create some hardship for the appellant. although we shouldn't discuss it that way. Preservation of equal right, I assume everyone has a deck in that neighborhood,
Yeah,
more or less.
pretty much so.
And the one I want to emphasize is minimum variance. You all agree? Absence of detriment. And no, and there is not of a general nature.
No.
All in favor of granting the variance, please raise your hand. You got the variance 5-0.
Does your dad contract out? It's a nice deck.
Yeah.
Case
Don't work with your dad.
Case, the second case is case number 18-23B. The property is at 481 Richland Avenue. Zone is B2. And Mr. Christopher Gooder is the appellant. The appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 2304-05A1 to allow a residential use on the first story of the building in B2 zone, where residential uses are permitted only on the second story and above. In your case, would be on the roof. Anything from the code office? Any background?
No, just that the 481 has never been used as anything other than a residence.
Yeah. You may come to the podium and state again your name for records and address.
My name is Chris Gruder. I live at 6820 Leemaster, Athens, Ohio.
Anything you want to add?
I tried to sell this property for a year and no one bought it, so I'm trying to rent it to pay the mortgage. All the houses around me appear to be old residential homes that are also rentals. Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Any questions for the appellant? You may be seated. And is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this request? Please. State your name and your address, please.
My name is Alice Ratliff, and I live at 479 Richland Avenue. And I understand I actually got a letter to come to the meeting, which I was quite surprised. But come to find out, I'm the only homeowner on that avenue, or right in that area, and it's all rentals. So I just want to say that as a homeowner, I wouldn't care. He owned the house, he could do whatever he wants to, but I would be the last to say no. So
Okay, you don't want to say that in public because they may have a band going on every night.
Oh, I just join them. So that's really, I just want in favor of him, yes.
Okay, very good, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone that wants to make a general comment or in opposition? We're going to close the floor from discussion. And anyone who wants to entertain the motion?
Motion to grant a variance for property located at 481 Richland Avenue, Zone B2, case number 18-23B. Variance from ACC 23.04.05A1 to allow residential use on the first story of the building in the B2 zone, where residential use are only permitted on the second floor.
I second.
Okay, second. Exceptional circumstances. I always thought maybe Richland Avenue had some special circumstances. It's not just because of the B2 zone, by the vicinity. Most of the properties on the avenue were built to be homes from years ago, and yours is a one-story. Is that the one that the truck guy run into the...
It wasn't a truck, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Let me make a comment here. I was on city council when we went over this whole thing with B2s, and the intent of city council at the time, and still is, that area eventually become business. They're grandfathered in, and they can't do anything about them as long as they're grandfathered in. But the intention was eventually to become business, and if city council wants it to be business, I think that's what we have to do. Unless they're really unusual circumstances, which I hate to say it, I don't think there are in this case.
Well, the one I would argue that is exceptional circumstances is that majority of those homes were built, and converting them into a business unless you want to have an insurance office or some other offices, it is a hardship for the owners. You know, they were all residential in the past. They were built to be residential.
That's a bed and breakfast down there.
There's a bed and breakfast. Those are the only few things that it could be done. In terms of the having retail stores, I have, from my personal experience, I know that the retail has never been successful in there. People come and go within a year. So maybe someday it will be a good thing to do, but for time being, that issue exists. So that's just my 2 cents. Practical difficulty.
No?
Again, the practical difficulty is there's only one floor. Is one floor, and converting into business someone who would like to go in that area to have an office, you know, and he hasn't been successful in selling it for a year. Preservation of equal property rights. There are many similar properties that are used for rentals or residential. And then, anyone wants to add any more? So we are not giving exceptional privileges to this piece of property compared to the other ones.
I would just argue that the intent is to have it all B2. If you allow exceptions, then it'll never become B2.
Well, again, we're talking about not only the B2 zone, but also the vicinity. So that's the nature of the vicinity in that area. Of course, you know, B2 on one place is, we don't compare them exactly the same as the B2 in another place, depends on the neighborhood. Is this a minimum variance? To use the property, this probably would make it more usable. Absence of detriment. I don't see one. But not of a general nature.
No.
Well, that maybe becomes, and eventually, that maybe needs to be addressed further. Are we ready to vote? All in favor of granting the variance, please raise your hand. We got 4 and 1 opposed. 1 opposed. 4-1, you have the variance. Well, the last item is disposition of the minutes from August 14, 2018. There was just one item I already discussed with Mr. Eschenbacher. And then if there is no other businesses, we adjourn.
No, we have to approve them.
Approve the minutes.
Oh, okay, yeah. Approving the minutes. Who wants to make a motion?
I'll do it. I move to approve the minutes of which date? August 14th, 2018.
Second?
Second.
John, second. All in favor, raise your hands. And we're done.
One statement before we close. The appellants need to reapply, and then give it a week. And then once we get the meetings done, then we'll attach the approval from the BZA to it. Thank you.